Just because you bury a thing doesn't mean that it's going to grow.
Wait a second. Whoa. Because you know how many times all I ever hear, we always talk about sowing and reaping. You've never heard a public speaker get on stage talking about sowing and reaping in that manner. Just because you plant a thing don't mean it's going to grow.
How did it grow with him burying what was given to him? The minute you take it from underneath the soil, the minute you take it as your own and work with what you got, come on. That's when doors open for you.
Ooh, opportunities. Welcome back to Aspire Higher with Coach Charles and Yvana Bailey. We're so glad that you're with us. Please, before we get into today's episode, hit that subscribe button. I want to say thank you to our watchers, viewers, listeners, because not everyone watches us on YouTube. I don't know why they wouldn't want to just see us.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
But sincerely, we want to say thank you for your support. We're getting messages now, calls. People are talking about how they're really inspired.
It's true.
We had one lady that took an opportunity. Where did she move? She moved, she said, because of what she watched one of our episodes.
Yeah. She made a big transition in her life because of what we said. Yeah,
so
it's
we're
beautiful.
Honored, man, to be able to do this. Now,
that's right.
Today we're going to talk about perspective, perception, and also you using what God has given you, and also the gifts and skills and talents and abilities that are innate in you.
True.
Because this is huge. What we're going to say today, I hope, really challenge you. So, what's up, Yvonne? How are you feeling?
I'm good.
You look good always. Has anything new happened in your life, just in case someone's interested in who you are?
Yes. So I, at this point, would already have launched a course, which I'm super excited about. It's an intensive for women. It's going to empower, uplift, and transform their lives. So I'm very excited, and it's been going well.
It's going incredibly well. I'm very proud of you. We put a lot of work in that.
Yeah.
So if you are listening, you're a woman, this is a 6-week intensive with Coach Yvana live, not some just pre-recorded thing, but it's going to be incredible. They're women of high power.
Oh, yeah.
There are CEOs, professional athletes who are already signing on. Entrepreneurs,
moms,
nonprofit owners. It's going to be
exclusive
huge.
For women.
Oh, my gosh. I actually wish I could
huge,
participate.
Remember?
It is. Wish I could participate. Well,
you can.
Well, speaking of today's particular topic, I heard a story. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's a story. I kind of called it this. I gave it a title, The Prisoner and the Potatoes.
Okay.
So there was a prisoner that was apparently locked up for a long period of time.
Okay.
And it was right before the planting season. Okay. And so, if you're in a prison, you can write letters to people outside of the prison. And this prisoner and his wife were exchanging letters all the time. And so in one of the letters in prison he receives from his wife, she says, this is going to be a hard year for us because I can't plant potatoes. And the interesting thing is she said, the ground is too hard. It needs to be tilled. Yeah. And you're not here. I can't do it.
Right.
And so the prisoner had the ability to see his circumstance for what it was, but to also see the opportunities that were not presented for anyone looking and may have missed it.
Yeah.
He said, I know guards are reading my letters. So what if I write a letter? And he just said, let me write this letter. He wrote, honey, it's okay because you can do with our weapons incredible things. Okay. You can sell them. You can buy supplies for you. Remember, I buried them under the hard soil around our house.
Okay.
He gets a letter a few weeks later saying the strangest thing happened. All these armed soldiers and armed guards came to our house and immediately started digging up all the soil around our house.
Trying to find the weapon.
The weapons.
Right.
But I didn't know what was going on because I was in the house and they just came and dug. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't knock on the door. They just started digging. And he writes the letter back saying, yes, I know, honey. Now you can plant those potatoes. The point I'm making is perspective.
Exactly.
And seeing your circumstance for what it is, but also what it could be.
That's right. That's right.
Because there's still opportunity wrapped in our extreme challenge and our extreme circumstance and our hardship.
That's right.
And that, if you really want to think about it, was a creative talent this man had. Yeah. The ability to have foresight and insight.
True.
And I'm telling you, if we change how we see our circumstances, we'd be amazed at how many resources are already available to us.
That's true.
And in this case, for free.
Literally.
So what do you think about that?
I think that it challenges a lot.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to mental reframing, there's a lot of work that has to be done. You know, you can't really give in to too much emotion when you're thinking about reframing a perspective. So when you were speaking, I'm thinking they were sent the very skill or the very necessity that the assistance, I would say, that was needed in that moment. They didn't even have to do the work, which is even more crazy. Right. Sometimes people will be sent to you that you don't think they're going to be sent to you for, but they are here to alleviate you, to help you, even though it looks like they're going to hurt you. That's deep.
Even though they look like they're going to hurt you.
Yes.
You know what else is so beautiful about what you said? Many times we see the work that it's going to require.
Yeah.
And so we immediately get trapped, or in this case, which is a great analogy, arrested, because we would rather avoid the fear and the pain of how much it's going to take.
True.
Watch this. When in actuality, all it took for this man was a letter.
Yeah, that's right.
A little ingenuity.
Right.
Creativity.
Right.
And I'm saying this because there's a watcher, a listener here, a viewer here, who may not recognize that you're in a place where you feel hindered. That's a good word. Because you're focused too much on the big thing.
Right. Right.
Zoom in a little bit and see the one thing you could do that could create a massive world of impact.
That's right. That's right.
On the thing you think is so huge and insurmountable.
I've been there.
We've all been there.
Yes. I love
do it all the time.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. My goodness.
But I work around it though.
Yes. And the key word is you work.
Yeah.
If you don't put forth work and effort, everything's in vain then. It just doesn't make sense because, okay, you take a huge vision, right? A lot of people see the vision and they'll run towards that vision. But before the vision, you have to lay foundation. There are steps. There are needed principles that you have to abide by before you get there. Or else you'll burn out.
Right.
Or you will maybe go on the wrong path.
Sure.
There's so many different things with that. And I've fallen victim to that too because I saw the big vision and then it didn't necessarily work in my favor.
Wow.
So I thought, well, that's it. You know, like there goes that. But I had no idea that the more I was working, the more I started discovering my own innate ability to produce things I didn't even think were going to be credible or even worth it in the future, which is nuts. And so as you work in the present, I would even suggest you to let go of the grip so much of the vision. Let go a little bit because some people are choking out their vision before it can actually teach them how to walk.
That's a very important point. You know, it reminds me of something, and it's interesting because, you know, I love reading scripture. And I always tell people, if you're a listener, whether you believe or not, know that there's wisdom available to you in resources that maybe you are rejecting, right? But there was a scripture where Jesus was speaking and he said, the one who has, more will be given.
Absolutely.
But to the one, wait, I have it in my book.
It's okay.
The person.
Oh, the book.
I just forgot it was right in front of me. So I said, instead of me trying to quote it, let me just read it. The person who has will be given more so that he or she will have more than enough. And that's literally what I just said. But the second part, the one who has nothing will have even the little that he or she does have taken away.
Right. Exactly.
Now, this is actually not just scripture. There's a business principle that's tied to it that you can draw from this. But there's a real title to this called the Matthew effect of accumulated advantage. Okay. All right. So here's the deal.
He's about to teach.
There is an advantage that is afforded to those who are able to recognize what they already have for what it is, and then use it to maximize for what they need.
Got it.
This is the essence of when people say the rich get rich and the poor get poor.
Yes.
Well, the question is why? Because the rich have foresight, they have knowledge, they have wisdom, they have understanding, they have the audacity and the intensity to pursue the thing or find the answer to the thing that they need to generate more income, more wealth. I remember I was sitting down with a multi-millionaire lawyer. he and I had a business meeting, and he educated me quite a bit because I'm always of the giving, and I'm okay with giving. I love giving. But he said, Charles, the thing about you is that sometimes you don't have the ability to think for self in terms of selfish. He used the word selfish. I didn't like that term, but at the same time, he's right. He's wealthy. He's extremely wealthy. And he was saying, he said, you have to get the mindset that says, I'm willing to do what it takes to get X. He said, because here's what the wealthy understand. Once I've done it once, I have the formula.
Yeah, very true.
And then I can focus on being the giver and everything else because I don't have to keep spinning the wheel. I remember there was a client that you worked with, and I know I'm talking a lot, but this is a lot to talk about. She had hit $1 million in a year. You remember this? And I remember the more you cracked down and helped her challenge herself and identity, she was like, I hadn't been there since that year.
Oh, yeah.
Do you understand?
That's right.
I hadn't had that revenue ever again. But the problem is that she didn't focus on the system that got her there. So she just tried her best to reinvent the wheel over and over again when she had already found what worked. And you were the one that was like, why are you going all over here? Stick to this.
Because people get lost, though. After you achieve something great, sometimes there is a place where you get literally lost. And okay, how do I recreate this? When you just have to abide by the same principles, systems, and foundation that you had before, you know? But I think, especially when you start getting real high up there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You start seeing clouds, you start seeing above the clouds. But that pinnacle experience and climactic experience, I believe that it's to keep you grounded still so that when you get back down off that mountain, you understand what got you there. And also, you know what you did to stay there in a sense, you know? So it takes a lot for people to see the best, be the best, receive the best, and then go back to a level of humility to where they still work and operate as though they never hit that.
But what you're saying literally points back to what we're talking about. Because it's all perspective.
Of course, of course.
It is perspective, not just in the lack of opportunity, but perspective of oneself. I remember reading, I think it was John Maxwell, and he talks about how he works with his team. John Maxwell, one of the greatest public speakers in the history of speaking. We already know him, very world-renowned, right? But he's a leadership coach and teacher as well. He speaks specifically on leadership. That's really his niche. And one of the things he talked about in one of his books, I can't remember exactly which one it is, and if you watch this and you know which one it is, go ahead and put it in the comments. But he says that we always have our team celebrate our wins, but we celebrate them briefly and get back to work. Because the mindset, the perception of you being a winner, you forget that winning is momentary. But systems aren't momentary. So you go back and repeat the process again.
That's right. Systems they should be a continuum.
That's right. Consistent.
Exactly. And especially in athletics, well, even in business too.
Of course in business.
Once you reach it, you're like, did it.
I did.
And there are those high achievers and those people that are still not satisfied that want to keep going. And that's great. Kobe Bryant did that. We already know. Many of the greatest athletes are not satisfied, which is a great problem. But there is still an understanding of you go back to the fundamentals, right? Fundamentals are all in athletics. You could speak to that even when it comes to that world. You still need to understand how to practice and continue practicing, because once that moment hits and you hit your victory and you hit your win, what happens? What happens after the Olympics? You go back to practice.
It's back
what happens
to
after championship season? You go back to training, back to conditioning, excuse me. So yeah, with that, it's important. It's essential to understand that. And I think it's difficult. But I also think it can be very easy because you just make up your mind. You make up your mind and make it make sense. That's it.
Yes. And you don't live in your victories forever.
You can't.
But here's something else.
You shouldn't, I should say.
But here's something else that I want to pull out of what you're saying, the extraction, because you're talking about systems and you're talking about getting back to what you had to do to get to where you are. But some people haven't even started, because their vision of themselves, now watch this is going to be a twist on our topic today. Their vision and perspective of themselves is that they're already a winner, but they have not done any of the work. The perception is
like
wrong.
Quiet winning?
Not quiet quitting, but quiet winning, right?
Quiet winning?
Right.
Yeah. I am right now pushing a client very, very hard to not only transcend his image from the inside out, changing his core beliefs about who he is, but I'm also forcing, in a good sense, and trying to propel him to new levels, right? In his business, in his mind, in his relationships, in his mental constructs. And there's a level of, I think, like fear sometimes that happens when you're not sure what your next step is, but you see someone else pushing you towards that. Coaches do the same thing. Like athletes just trust practice. Like we know what's going to happen, but we don't. Even if you give it to us, we don't know what it's going to actually entail because it's still the work you've got to do. And I think when it comes down to therapy, when it comes down to mental reframing, when it comes down to changing your belief system and even looking inside of yourself and saying, you know what, if I want to get to that level, I can't be doing the same old things. I need to do new things. It does come at a cost.
And that's the reality.
It comes at a cost.
There's an opportunity cost.
Absolutely.
To everything. And I think that's something else that goes with perspective. People want the reward. They want the win. They want the success. But they're not willing to pay the price. James Brown used to say, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. But it's the absolute truth. You don't just start out on the mountaintop. But let's go back to what I was trying to say in particular about the Matthews accumulated effect. Napoleon Hill is an author that I read often. Author of Think and Grow Rich, a lot of other big books like that. But that is the one that most people recognize. So that's pretty much the one I wanted to list. But the reality of what he talks about is that every challenge, everything that we see, the constructs of our mind, when it comes to going back to paying that cost, there's always a seed of an equivalent benefit. So though it is hard, though it is going to require you to invest yourself, though it's going to require you to learn new systems, you may not have the education to do this. This is why you need a coach. This is why you need someone in your life to push you, which is another reason. Most people don't recognize that when they're investing in a coach or a relationship with people like us who will push them, thinking the whole time, I can do this on my own. I can. Yes, you can. And we know that, but you haven't. So get someone that will push you and hold you accountable.
With that, you mentioned education. I didn't know how valuable it was to push myself to be academically inclined and to do things with excellence in college. I had no idea how my communications degree would be playing out now in my life. Be speaking, be paid to speak, booked to speak and travel. And I remember in class, it was not very easy. For student athletes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. To go from practice to sitting down for hours at class and then going back to recovery,
study hall,
going into the cold tub and then studying and then doing the essays. It's a lot. It's a lot. You have the student life, that's a lot. And then you have the athletic life, that's a lot. So imagine combining both of those things into the same 24 hours as one person just does one. That's a lot of work, right? With that, I remember sitting in class and I'm saying, oh my gosh, the fundamentals of public speaking. Like, I get it, I can speak, but why do I need to know this, that, and the other? Why do I need to understand what it's like to be an effective communicator? And I remember in that class, I was just so bored sometimes. But with being bored, I still challenged myself to pay attention. Because I don't know, it's like sometimes when you have a talent or a skill or an ability, the tools that are there for you will still kind of like, they'll still in your heart make you feel like it's worthwhile, make you feel like you should be paying attention because I had no idea I had no idea. Not back then.
And that is so awesome.
I was just focused on one thing.
You took such a great turn on what I just said about that. The seed of equivalent benefit. It's a struggle to learn what you don't learn. It's a struggle to have someone challenge you. It's a struggle. But here's the beautiful thing. That's the difference also with us having the athletic background. And I don't want to turn anyone off who doesn't have that, but I'm going to say this because this will expose something so you can understand why we're so passionate about that. We are used to people pushing us.
All the time.
We're used
to get better.
Watch this, but we're used to, in our world, having to pay coaches and pay trainers and pay teachers and pay for extra training to get better. People don't do this for free.
No.
But watch this. But when people see these athletes, they see athletes like us when we were winning, when we're running international, whatever we're doing, they don't see the cost, not just in our bodies, but financially.
That's right.
The coaches,
all of it was an investment.
The travel, the flights,
investments.
No one paid for those but us.
Okay.
But I want to make sure I illustrate that to say that's the significance of investing in self.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting ready to say. When we don't invest in ourselves,
that's right.
We think that when someone says, yeah, I'll mentor you, but it'll cost you X amount of dollars, that we need to be insulted.
Let me tell you something.
But let me say this first. Don't be insulted.
Yeah.
Be honored.
That's right.
Because they see something in you.
That's right.
And I've watched this time and time again with our clients, whether it be professionally or athletically.
Right.
Their life goes to a next level because they spent a few $100 or $1,000 with us or someone else to get them to where they want to go.
That's right.
You're not actually investing in the coach.
Right.
You're not actually investing money in their pocket. You're investing in you.
That's right. Simply invest in yourself. If that's the one-liner for the day, it's invest in yourself.
Change your perspective.
We've been there. We're talking as credible coaches. We're talking as credible athletes. We're talking as credible business owners. We have been there.
Change your perspective.
That's it. That's it. Man. And it's so worth it because I remember being in a COO position, I had to learn a lot on the back end, like a lot. And it was calling forth business skills that were in me, but had to be refined because I'm responsible now for, in a sense, the company and the roles
operations.
A lot.
I mean, you did a great job.
With that, I learned I didn't even know how that was going to pay me forward into our own business.
That's right.
You see that?
You're sure right.
Years ago. But I don't despise anywhere I've ever been because I would have been planting seeds within my own self that were only a matter of time for them to germinate and then come into full harvest.
And there's a scripture that says that don't despise small beginnings.
Absolutely. Humble beginnings.
We always undervalue the circumstance we're in. Just like the story at the top of the segment. The man was in prison.
Yeah.
And yes, it was a terrible situation for his family.
Right.
He could have just fallen into the sinkhole of thinking, I'll figure it out or I'll do something that is totally illegal or whatever. He just could have been bad. But what he did was he looked at his circumstance and he said, this is what I can do to make it better.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, man, you said so many things because I was just thinking, as you just said, I was speaking to my own mentor. I had a phone call about this blew my mind. The man was talking to me about marketing strategies and SOPs and ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying this to reiterate what you just said. You're not investing in the person that's giving you the information. Right. You're investing in you.
A lot of people don't think that way, though.
That's why you
think, the cost.
This is why we started talking about perspective.
And it's like, either you want to get better or you don't.
And didn't we trademark that?
We did.
We trademarked that for our personal and performance training business. Want to get better or not? That's the only question we ask athletes and people who want to get fit or get in shape. And we ask them even when we're training them.
If you want to get better or not?
There are times when I have athletes laying on the floor.
Do you want to get better?
And I said, listen, man, I know it hurts, but you just came back from a camp and saw this kid who did X, Y, and Z, and the scouts were after him. Now, do you want to get better or not?
Yeah. You know, I randomly just thought about this. I like to link myself with people who have skills that may be better than me. There is a man in this room that is the most gifted or...
Oh, I'm sorry. I just felt that.
I'm talking about production, okay?
No, but honestly,
stay humble. Okay?
No,
stay humble, or else I'm not going to finish my sentence.
But you make my heart glad. I'm listening.
There's a man in this room.
Oh, my wife.
That is one of the most gifted orators, public speakers, naturally gifted at teleprompter work, naturally gifted at improv work, like naturally gifted. And I remember very early on discovering his talent, skills, and abilities, and I remember feeling like, whoa, what a force to be reckoned with. And it did challenge me because I didn't feel like I had that ability because I was trying to take what he had and make it make sense in this package. This package has what it has to offer.
That's right.
And God created it like this on purpose. For you, God created him the way it's intended and designed to be. And for me, I was like, man, but he's so effortless at speaking. We also know when I'm bringing this up because it's very important.
Sure.
In public speaking, there are, I want to say, I think it's 89%, if not 90 at this point, research suggests, deathly afraid of public speaking.
Yeah, that's
deathly afraid of sitting in front.
In fact, they fear it more than
talking
death.
in front of, they fear it more than death.
That's peer reviewed.
Right. I was like, how do I get better and better and better? Because sometimes we would get different scripts, different speeches, different things. He would look at it, study it, nail it. And I'm like... I feel like crap now because
no.
But tell me not, a lot of people compare. The thief of joy is truly comparison. And I know what that feels like because I've been there. And it challenged me to know that this man has these beautiful skills and talents. And I would sit at his feet and ask him, can you help me?
Yeah, you do.
Can you assist me? Can you read for me? Can you help me translate this text into something I can understand, interpret, and then be able to deliver to an audience? And there is nothing wrong with asking for assistance, asking for support.
Using someone else's talents to enhance yours.
Thank you. And then you got to be careful what happens after that. I've been reading David and Saul recently.
Okay, well, talk about it then, Coach. Talk about it.
Wait, let me finish.
It does
because
happen.
It happens. You have to really check yourself. And I tell my clients, I tell myself, I don't tell my clients anything I don't do.
Yeah,
okay.
That's true.
So I check myself. If he has the gift, skills, talent, natural ability to do certain things, and I have some natural skills, talents, and abilities, but maybe not I feel is as natural, I will go and seek assistance and support and ask him to help me make this make sense. Yeah. And I'm telling you, like, there have been major things I have gotten the privilege and honor to be in the room, on set. Like, there's been so many great things, and you remember them, and you pushed me hard.
I was gonna say that if you didn't.
We had to. No, it's an equation.
Yeah.
If I ask for help, for help, right?
I hope you're hearing this and watching what she's about to say, because this is something that it's a cornerstone of what we tell ourselves when we ask for help.
If I ask for help, right?
Yeah.
I have to do the work.
Yep.
And then I have to receive the force, whatever's going to propel me forward.
Right.
I have to receive that and be able to run with it. Be able to turn over my little legs, whatever it is, as fast as possible. And that was an athletic terminology, turnover. Yeah. But when it comes to turning over my fear, turning over my mental weakness, and saying, you are here to help. It's just us.
Oh my God.
You are here to help me. So how do I look dismissing the level of force?
Come on.
How you help? I can't. And that's another thing. People be asking for help within their own. They're like,
the way they expect it.
That's right. Here's the way I want you to do it for me. No.
Nah.
He's tough, okay? Athletes know. His clients know. He is no joke.
Absolutely
but that big old smile is there to encourage you. It's there to help you. And
so
it's also there to protect you from yourself. 100%. Because there are times where I'll feel like I'm breaking down. I'm like, oh God, I got to practice this. I got to do all this.
Yeah.
I have all this to learn, and then I have to deliver it in front of audience.
And
then
that's
I have to
the
fly out.
opportunity you wanted.
It is. And that's a privilege of pressure.
And the problem that we have when we misassess our talents, focusing on the wrong thing, the perspective on the wrong thing.
Come on.
Everything you said there was still perspective.
Yes.
You go ask for help from someone. You can't be mad if they give you help in the way that they know how to help.
That's it.
That's how they know how to help. Exactly. That's how they know how to help. It is not their job to adjust themselves trying to help you when they are the ones you came to.
That's right. That's right. And that's why, too, if you don't want my help, don't ask.
Don't ask. My mom used to always say that to me. Now, do you want me to help you, or do you want me to make you feel good?
Do you?
Do you want the truth, or you just want me to say what you want to hear?
It's vital. It's vital because I'm really thinking about that a lot, because when people sign up for coaching, when people invest in mentorship, when people invest in masterminds, you don't know how that person's going to deliver the news, the information, the knowledge and wisdom, or the applicable steps for you to thrive. You don't know how it's going to be delivered, but you want their help because you obviously see that they can make you better.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, there's so many things that I think about when it comes to enrichment for yourself that you dare not try to put someone in that box. Like, don't box me.
And you
want my coaching? Just get my coaching because you know it's going to make you better.
I would dare you. Think of someone right now, because we all can.
Yeah.
We could think of someone that we highly, highly respect.
Yes.
If you work for your boss or maybe CEO, let's say you respect them, or her, because again, anyone, but whoever it is in your mind, you imagine now going to them and saying, I want you to mentor me. Now watch. If they mentor you in a way you don't like, would you tell them they need to change their approach? Or would you be like, you know what, I'm just going to quit?
They'll quit.
Easy.
They'll quit because that's that person. You can't change that person.
And they already know the
mindset.
person in their mind, so they have to change their mindset. Watch, which is what they were asking the person to do anyway.
Period.
But I got to say this before we go, because we are said, sis, ma'am, love, we said so many great things. I'm just so proud of what came out. But the last portion is talent. You talked about that. You can't forget that sometimes what you have accessible is the talent someone else has that can enhance yours.
Okay.
And here's why I want to say this. There's another parable. I love it. It's one of my favorites. We write about it in our book. If you have our book, The Flight of Your Life, The Power of Propulsion, page 78, we talk about the parable of the talents. And a lot of people hear the story growing up. It feels like a childhood story. Right. But there's so much in it. And I know we don't have too much time. We'll probably continue, but I'll say it this way. There were 3 people who worked for this incredibly wealthy lord or person who owned an incredible estate. They call him an estate owner. Okay. He was going to leave for an incredibly long time, but he didn't tell the people who were managing his estate how long he would leave. So he gave them all a separate amount of money. Okay. He said, I believe in you. You know my SOPs. You know exactly how we run things. You know how we do things. Take this, and I want you to manage this till I come back. Okay. The thing that you learn from the story is this. These 3 managers did 3 different things. One of them invested everything he had, took whatever he needed to live on, and he came back and he actually made the 5, turned it into 10.
That's right.
There was another one that was given 3. I think he turned it into 5. Right. There was another one that was given 1. He didn't turn it into anything. He buried it. Yeah. He hid it. And he was living the life because the master wasn't there. Right. Meaning the responsibility that was on him, he didn't have anybody to challenge him. He didn't have anybody to hold him accountable. Right. And he wasn't trying to hear what anybody else had to say. Because, watch this, as time was passing, he thought he was good. And that happens to most of us. Because what we're talking about is you don't realize that you may not have enough time. You may not have any time left. And you don't know when your time will end. Yeah. So while you're wasting time trying to think about what everybody else is doing, or watch this, fake it till you make it, whenever the manager returns, you can't fake. When he says, show me what you've done with what I've given you. Yeah. Now, here's what I have to say, and I get chill bumps getting ready to say it. The one thing that this terrible manager didn't recognize was when his time was called and he had nothing to show, he had no leg to stand on. All he could do was blame the person who gave him the gift and the resources and the opportunity, because he had no one else to blame except himself. So he figured, if I can make this person look bad, they'll say, well, yeah, it's my fault that you failed. Now watch this.
Man, ownership. Yeah.
Who else did he fail, Yvana? Who else did he fail? The people that would have benefited from him using his gift, his talent, his responsibilities, his title, his position, his resources, and anything else that was already accessible to him. Yeah. He ruined not only his name, he ruined the manager's name, he ruined the owner's name, and he ruined the lives of people who didn't benefit because he was too selfish and lazy to maximize his talent. Watch this. He had 2 other managers that could have told him how to manage his money. And he could have come back with a return.
Riches, wealth.
So he was so afraid and so fearful and so selfish and so whatever other word you can use here, that he didn't even access the talents that he had around him to maximize his own.
Yes. Enough said. Let me say this. Let me say
you
this.
You said while I leave.
See you later, buddy. Let me tell you. Just because you bury a thing doesn't mean that it's going to grow.
Wait a second. Hold up. Whoa. Because you know how many times all I ever hear, we always talk about sowing and reaping. You've never heard a public speaker get on stage talking about sowing and reaping in that manner. Just because you plant a thing don't mean it's going to grow.
Think about it. How did it grow with him burying what was given to him? The minute you take it from underneath the soil, the minute you take it as your own and work with what you got, come on. That's when doors open for you.
Ooh, opportunities. Girl, let me tell you something, because the minute you said that, my mind was
you already
blown,
know.
because I saw
somebody heard it.
I saw a gold talent given to someone.
Yeah.
A golden talent, a golden ticket.
Yeah. Willy
and
Wonka.
They buried it thinking, well, if I
Willy
put
Wonka.
it, but wait.
Sorry.
If I put this in the ground, eventually my time will come.
But how?
Eventually, watch this. watch this. Oh my gosh. Eventually someone will see it.
How? It's buried.
Yvana, you just dropped one of the best gems in the history of our show, because
exciting.
You can bury.
Yeah.
Ooh, it depends on the genetic or the bio makeup of the thing that you bury.
That's right.
Whether it will grow under soil.
Yep.
Or grow above it.
Yeah. Isn't that deep?
And gifts and talents don't grow under the soil.
They can't.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
That's the end of our show.
I don't know what else to say.
Nothing.
But I will
say
say
nothing.
this.
Challenge them. That's it.
If you didn't get what you needed out of this show, you can't blame the people who presented you the opportunity.
That's right.
Who gave you the challenge.
That's right.
And who are forcing you to observe that what you have, first of all, may be shaped by your misperceptions. Second, you may be misidentifying and misrepresenting yourself because you're comparing your talents with other people's talents instead of finding ways to collaborate. That's a great word. Collaboration over comparison.
That's right. That's right.
Collaborate instead of comparing.
That's right.
Get the help you need. Invest in someone who knows how to get you there. Listen to this. I would rather have short-term pain for long-term success.
Absolutely. That's written. Yes.
Than to not invest.
Yes.
And look back over my life and say, I could have, would have, should have, and might have, and now I will never be.
That's it. That's it. Bam.
Thank you guys for joining us again on another episode of Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey.
Yes.
We really think this episode is one that you need to watch more than once.
Oh, yes.
But you should definitely share. And we hope that you would subscribe, please, because this is your vote of confidence for us.
Yeah.
Not only does it encourage us, but it gives us the means to support why we are still doing this.
Right.
So we hope that this has been more than a blessing to you, but the challenge that you need, and the last thing I'll say, the encouragement that you need, because encouragement is literally putting courage into something.
That's right.
It is not me making you feel good, her making you feel good, or anyone else. You got enough people making you feel good. You got enough podcasts. You got enough things on your feed. You need someone to tell you to get up, get moving, get building, and get some help if you need it.
Right.
Thank you again for your time. We look forward to seeing you. And if you have a challenge in confidence, go to our website.
Yes.
You can get a free resource, 5 days to championship level confidence. If you do the work, I promise you, you'll remind yourself of the power that was always in you. Have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are. We're out.